Jason.
Hey.
Hello, Jason. Thanks for filling in for DJ tonight, buddy. Sure appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jason is my son. He's done shows with us like this before. He's always great in the mod position, and you're kind of a veteran at this point. Kind of know what you're doing. So if you make any mistakes at all, I'm going to come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Oh, man. And then it's going to turn into Home Alone 2. It's going to be kind of bad. And, yeah.
Tonight on the Captain Logan Show, we're doing an Ask Me Anything show. This is kind of a, I almost said impromptu. This is always impromptu. We never planned this show, of course. But originally, we were supposed to have a Marvel Mania tonight, and unfortunately, single tier, that's not happening this evening because DJ is under the weather, unfortunately. He thinks he's just got a 24-hour bug. He should be back with us again on Thursday. I hope he's doing a lot better. So if you're watching right now, DJ, feel better, and hope I get to see you on Thursday for another Captain Logan show. So next Tuesday, we're going to bring back Marvel Mania, and we'll be doing Into the Spider-Verse. I just watched it last night with Jason. I was all prepared, ready to go, and then we didn't get to do it tonight. But instead, we're going to get to talk about some very exciting news that just dropped today. So I'm actually really glad that we're doing a Captain Logan show. Tonight's lead-in topic is going to be about the new Superman and Batman movie series books that were announced from the original Christopher Reeve series and the Michael Keaton series. So we're getting this is a thing I've wanted forever. For both of these, but especially 89, of course. We're getting a Batman 89 book, and we're getting a Superman 78 book, and I'm stoked, and we're going to read the article and find out all of the exciting information about that in just a little bit. But other than that, Ask Me Anything show, so feel free to throw questions about any kind of thing under the sun, pop culture, science fiction, superhero stuff, superhero movies, anything you want to talk about within reason, we will chat about and answer for you. Feel free to ask Jason stuff throughout the show if you want to do that. You guys have been getting to know Jason more and more lately, and so I know there's a lot of subjects that some of you guys have in common with Jason that you might not even have with me. It seems like whenever Jason comes on, there's stuff that we end up talking about that we wouldn't usually, so it should be a really fun evening, kid.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
I'm excited. Let's see who's in the comments. We got Daniel Davis, Mutale's here, Dimwit Monkey, there's Blue Dragon 5 as always, Hi Dragon, Christopher Swauger is a Swauger is a name that I don't recognize, so thanks a lot for being here. It's the Desolation of Swaug, Jason. Rohit Dahar, Hayden Spring is here. Welcome everybody. Ash Williams. Jason picked tonight's lead-in music, which was a metal Mortal Kombat cover that I had never heard before. Yeah. Before we just now played it, I was like, Jason, you set up anything you want to that you don't think will get us copyright flagged, and I will press the button. And that was hilarious, Jason.
It's usually like one of the first things I go to when I try to think of like upbeat music.
Is there more comment in general, or specifically that version?
No, I had never heard that version before either.
That was really funny. Let's see who did that, actually. That was... oh, wow. That has a lot of views. A channel called Little V Mills. So this is apparently a really popular cover with a guy wearing a scorpion suit and sunglasses. He looks hilarious. Let's see if I can show you that. Look at this guy. He looks great. Johnny Cage. Anyway, so that quick plug for that guy's channel if you want to take a look at that track. It's fantastic. We better drop this from the screen or we're going to be very distracted. Okay. As always, if you want to make sure that your question or comment, your topic is discussed on air, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and we will make sure and tackle your question, spend a little bit of time on it. We'll try to hit as many things as we can tonight, as always, and if you don't want to do that or you can't do that, don't worry. Thanks a bunch for being here. That is certainly not required. We will answer as many pre-written things as possible as well. We're going to go ahead and get right into stuff.
There's also another new guy.
Oh, welcome, new folks. So let's go ahead and get into the lead-in topic for this evening as I find the correct tab, and that is... not where that was supposed to go. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and look at this article from GamesRadar.com. This just dropped today. This says 28 minutes ago, but if I refresh that, it will say a few hours ago. Michael Keaton and Christopher Reeve are back, sort of, in new DC Comics, picking up the iconic Batman and Superman film franchises. The Batman 89 book was a thing that was supposed to happen several years ago, or at least there was like concept art, there was a pitch, and then DC ultimately didn't pick it up, which was really sad. I have heard that the artist who's doing the book now is the guy who pitched it way back when. And that would have been back like right after the Batman 66 book, I think, or maybe even it was pitched right before that. I'm not sure, but it was right around that period. So that would have been like 2014, 2015, maybe even as early as 2013. I can't remember when the Batman 66 book started, but I think it was before the DVDs and Blu-rays for that show even came out. It's hard to remember now because it's been so long, but it also in a way kind of feels like yesterday. Anyway, I really missed the Batman 66 book. For a while there, it got 25 issues, and it was wonderful, and for a while there, we were getting crossovers quite a bit with very often other kind of period properties, and Wonder Woman 77, which was fantastic. Wonder Woman, the TV show, got a few kind of oversized prestige format books, but not an ongoing like Batman 66 did, and so a lot of people were clamoring for this stuff. Like, well, let's go to the stuff from our childhoods, those of us that are, you know, a little older, but, you know, didn't grow up with, of course, the 60s show, and see what adventures might have happened for Batman after Batman Returns, and maybe even something with Christopher Reeve, and that's exactly what we're getting, and it's really exciting. So, launching as part of DC's growing digital first line of titles. Yeah, the digital first thing was big for a while, and then it seemed to drop off, and now it seems like it's coming back some. I would wager partly because of DC Universe's streaming service. Or not, it's not a streaming service anymore, but a comic viewing service, because all the digital first stuff shows up there too, although I don't think right away. I'm not sure, because I've not looked at a ton of it. Anyway, Superman 78 and Batman 89 follows up on formal DC started several years ago with comic books based on the 60s show and Wonder Woman 77. I basically just gave you that lead information already. In Superman 78, this is kind of the press release. Bystanders are surprised and delighted by Superman's abilities, and Lois Lane doesn't yet know that Clark Kent is already Superman, or is secretly Superman. They're setting that in between the first and second movies, which is interesting because originally 1 and 2 were supposed to be fully filmed together by Richard Donner, and part of 2 was filmed that way. So having something now in between is kind of amusing. And then it says, the sheer thrill of seeing a man fly, leap, or stop a bullet will be reflected in this environment where Superman has just been introduced. Inspired by Donner's classic timeless style of superhero storytelling in Superman 78, Venditti and Torres will show fans that a man can truly fly. And those aren't names that I immediately recognize. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me what that writer has done before. I hope that's wonderful. I am excited about that. I'm stoked, and this is the reason I said finally in the thumbnail for the 89 Batman book. First of all, can we just marvel at this cover, because it's really, really pretty. What do you think, Jason?
Oh, wow.
I think that's absolutely gorgeous, just nailing the look of that Gotham City, and I do think it's kind of curious that we've got a smiling Michael Keaton here.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. It makes you kind of wonder what the tone of that book is going to be like. If you've got if we're going to kind of make a big deal out of this is a somewhat lighter Batman than even the Nolan version and the more recent DCEU stuff, but darker than the 60s show. So, you know, set it someplace in the middle, because in hindsight, it certainly feels like a lighter thing these days, even though, you know, compared to what we've had more recently, even though when I was a kid, that was considered really dark and gritty Batman, and folks watching that are a lot younger than me might not even be able to get their minds around that, but the big selling point, and the reason it was as popular as it was finally we're going to get dark Batman as he was intended originally by Bill Finger and what's his face? See, I like to forget the name of the guy who didn't actually really... Bob Kane. And then it says, for Batman 89, the co-writer of the 89 Batman and its sequel, Batman Returns, Sam Hamm returns to continue the story he and Tim Burton started 30-plus years ago. That's nuts. I cannot get my mind around the fact that they got Hamm to come in. Sam Hamm, his name rhymes. He sounds like he should be in a... in a Dr. Seuss book, in a Cat in the Hat book.
Sam I Ham.
Sam I Ham. Anyway, I can't believe he's going to come in and write it by himself. I kind of, when I saw that name, I was thinking, oh, okay, so they're going to work off of his notes, or he's maybe going to work, you know, with another writer, maybe just went to dinner with somebody and wrote some notes on a cocktail napkin. No, he's doing this book, and that's really exciting. So Sam Hamm wrote a brilliant first draft for 89, and I don't love his Batman Returns draft. I have off-the-cuff reviews of both of those if you're curious to know some details about them and my thoughts on them on the channel. I've done both of those, but particularly that 89 script is really good, and it's really sad all of the meat and story substance and character depth that didn't make it into the movie. And like I've always said this, I love 89. That doesn't totally kill it for me, but it's really sad how much of the substance was kind of gutted from it and how much that third act doesn't make any kind of sense. So it's going to be interesting to see Sam Hamm come back and keep working forward, because he's already done this twice. Like, he wrote a script that was changed quite a bit, and a lot of his characterization from Batman was changed and was no longer really about Batman like his initial script was. Then Jason, he comes in with Batman Returns, and he has to write a sequel to a version of the movie that's not what he initially did. And his Batman Returns script includes some things that he tried to get in that first script that didn't make it in, including, but not limited to, Batman riding a horse.
What?
A bunch of Batman controlling a bunch of bats all flying around him. Which
cool.
Which comes right out of Year One, and which did end up showing up in Batman Begins, and then also Robin is in both of those scripts and does not wind up in either of those movies. So he's not writing a movie, but he's going to come back and he's going to make a thing that this time is going to get published, and hopefully he's not micromanaged too much from on high somehow, where he's going to get to do his own thing, but he's going to have to do sequels once again to two things that were gutted versions of what he originally made. I think that's hilarious. But it's really cool for him that he's going to get to do that. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, what's up?
So Jedi Knight says that there's a new Smash Direct tomorrow.
Ooh.
So I'm probably going to watch that because I am excited to see what the next DLC character is, because I have no idea. Like, I'm thinking probably Crash Bandicoot. And then after that, I'm thinking probably Imposter from Among Us, and then something else, because Among Us is huge. So they're probably gonna do that, but I have no idea.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for weighing in on that. Let me finish the lead-in story before we get into any other topics.
Yeah.
If we could. But yeah, so folks are talking about this in the comments. Blue Dragon 5 in the 89 comic adaptation, they did that horse scene. It's after Joker shoots Bruce Wayne in Vicky Vale's apartment. I had forgotten about that. Yeah, that's true, and I've read that. It's just been a long time. I think there's a review for that on the channel too. I have so much 89 content. I've said this before. It could be its own channel. So anyway, my hope is that down the road, if this is popular, if it does well, that there might be comic adaptations of the original Sam Hamm scripts, like we've done with other first draft scripts with other properties, like Sitting on the Edge of Forever for Star Trek, and like the original George Lucas draft for Star Wars. I really hope that happens, especially for 89. Like, Returns would be kind of cool, but I think that's a somewhat lame script. I think it was uninspired in comparison to what he did, and what I was going to say earlier is all three of those things that I said that he kept trying to get in, I expect to see in his comic sequel to this stuff. So we already know he's going to do Robin. That's mentioned in this article. I won't read the rest of this article, but that's already there. And actually, let me go ahead and read the rest of at least this press release for 89, and then we'll go ahead and move on to some other things after I read a few comments. But it says Sam Hamm returns, working with artist Joe Quinones, and like I said, I think that's the guy that was trying to get this done several years ago. Hamm's new 89 series will act as an in-continuity third film, obviously diverting from Joel Schumacher's films, with more of a Michael Keaton Batman, more of a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. And when it says more of, like, obviously the character models are using those faces. Like, that is Keaton on the cover. More of a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, the growth of Billy D. Williams Harvey Dent in a Two-Face, which I would have expected, but that's exciting, and the debut of a new Robin. So one of those three things we know he's getting in there. If Batman is not riding a horse in that first issue, I will be really surprised. But anyway, so it being a digital first thing, it's going to have, fewer pages for each digital issue that come out, and then eventually they'll collect them. It says they've already got plans for big trade releases, and I don't know if they're going to get single issues, but I'm hoping so because I like to collect that way. And this is going to start in July, and it sounds like it's going to be, I think when it's all said and done, when you think of them as complete issues and not the digital things, it says like 12 digital issues, so I think that would translate to 4 or 6 regular-sized comics. So I'm a little bummed that this isn't an ongoing, because, but I mean, you know, I don't want to be like too greedy on this. This is really exciting. I guess both of these are supposed to be miniseries, but hopefully they do well enough that there is consideration for doing more. But I mean, it would be really neat if I could get as much Batman 89 as I did for Batman 66, especially because even though there is a sense of continuity in that book, believe it or not, it is pretty episodic because it's based on the 66 show, and there's a lot of kind of, you know, smaller episodes inside of issues. And especially because it's digital, that book would have sometimes 2 or 3 different stories in an issue. I don't expect this to do that. I think this will be one ongoing story, and it would have been really nice if we could have gotten a much, you know, longer run where we could get maybe 2, 3, 4 more movies worth. But who knows? Maybe it will be popular enough that that will happen. This is obviously not everybody's favorite Batman. In 89, I've never said is my definitive Batman. Dan's and I just did Jason of Batmosphere, where finally the main topic was Batman. And we picked our definitive Batman, and we both said it's ultimately Kevin Conroy, but 89 is really up there for me, and the look is certainly my definitive look, and I've always thought it looks really good on the printed page in 2D art. And so yeah, I'm stoked for this. This is some of the best news, maybe the best news I've heard this year so far. This will not be a huge deal to everybody, and I've already gone on and gushed about it for too long, but I'm stoked, and I don't want to get my expectations too high, but I think this could be really wonderful, especially being Sam Hamm. Like, I would be excited regardless, but that's the guy you'd want, and that it's like a pipe dream, and I'm in a very pinch me place with this, like I was with the Amazon Tick series. I'm really surprised this is happening, so that's just a big deal. I'm so stoked. Anyway, Psycho Reviewer, will they reveal how Two-Face turned white? Well, no, he won't be, right? It'll be Billy D. Williams. Like this said, it's diverting from the Schumacher movies, so it's not going to count Forever and Batman and Robin as canonical. This is not going to be Batman 5. It's going to be Batman 3 if those other 2 movies didn't happen. Like, you know, consider it like Terminator Dark Fate, except, you know, hopefully good.
Well, kind of.
What do you mean?
Well, isn't it, does it take place after Batman Returns?
Yeah, it takes place after Batman Returns. So it's exactly like Dark Fate. Because it's like,
exactly
because it's like you counted the first 2, but everything after it is a mulligan.
Except, is it like Dark Fate in,
well, not in
like
that it's set like
set,
way
like,
later.
way later.
No, it
yeah.
would be set right after.
Oh, okay.
Or real soon after.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it makes sense to do Catwoman right away, because we see her at the end of Returns, and you know that she's around. And of course, I'm not a big fan of Returns, but it doesn't ruin the whole thing. It's not like it's a problem that that's considered still canonical and moving forward from that. I don't think. Oh, that Psycho Reviewer says the white thing was a joke. Well, I apologize. I did not realize that. Connor Nielsen, which villains would you like to see adapted into the 89 verse? Scarecrow is in there, certainly. I would, if we kept going with this for a long time, I bet at some point they would do their version of Harley Quinn, just because that seems kind of obligatory at this point. And I don't know, there's been so much of that lately, I can't get real excited about that. But I think 8 or 10 years ago, that would have been a thing I wanted, especially with that idea that we had back in the day, if memory serves, with Batman Triumphant, or whatever that 5th Batman movie would have been called, that we were supposed to do like Scarecrow and Harley Quinn at the same time, I think, or Harley Quinn and somebody, and we were supposed to bring back Jack Nicholson in dream sequences with Harley Quinn. So I don't know, I've always had an idea of what that looks like in my head, and that's a thing that I would kind of maybe would have liked to have seen realized, but at this point I'm a little bit burnt out on that. It would be cool to see their version of Bane, I suppose, just because he was made, you know, a complete joke and just a henchman guy in Batman and Robin. Who comes to your mind right away? You know what, real quick, it might be neat, actually, if they were to do the Riddler and do a very different version from what Jim Carrey's was, since that would not be considered canonical in this.
Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking maybe, Bane.
I just said that. Or are you just saying you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me think.
Name some Batman villains, Jason.
Well, I know what you would want.
And we can decide if they would be fun to see. I mean, there's not a lot I wouldn't want to see done in that style, to be honest. But Clock King, yeah. Well, that's my answer to everything, so I wasn't going to say it this time. But of course, that would never happen. But
yeah,
I would not think. I just want to run up here and see if there's anything else people are saying about this that I want to talk about before we move on. Lewis Cox, I agree with that. That could be cool. He says they should do a comic for the original Flash show back in the 90s. And of course, that was tied into multiversally the CW Flash show. So there's been some sequel material for that. A little bit here and there. Not that it's necessarily great, but that's at least actually been done. Whereas 89, we haven't done anything except for the Nox cameo in Crisis. Zombie Slayer, anywhere specific I can see that script. I can try to look it up for you. I think my video where I reviewed that has the link. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm here with my 2-year-old upstairs. The link is in the description of that video. So if you can go find that, it's Batman 89 rough draft script review. I think is the title of that video, so you should be able to look that up pretty easily. Lewis Cox was also surprised that Sam Hamm was even still alive. To be honest with you, I didn't know that for sure either. I haven't heard his name come up in a long, long time. Anyway, a lot of people seem kind of excited about this, just like I am.
Matthew Bass says ventriloquist.
Yeah, ventriloquist would be cool.
Yeah.
Julio Garcia, I hope for this day to come, but thought it wouldn't happen. Holding back tears. Same here. I mean, call me too much of a fanboy, but this is a thing I didn't think we'd ever get to see because it was rejected so long ago. And a lot of people, we should mention this too, immediately people, the response from people was, well, of course they're doing this because of Michael Keaton coming back in the DCEU with the Flash movie, and they expected to tie into that. I could see that going either way. I mean, tying in that they might sort of use this to sell that idea a little bit, although coming as early as it is, nowhere near there being ready to start showing anything from that movie, I would imagine. That may or may not be the case, but it might be the reason that they're willing now to do it in a way that they weren't before. But I could see that going either way. I could see right at the end of the 89 book there being some kind of a connection or some kind of little teaser thing, like a one-page thing with Flash. I kind of hope they don't do that, but I could see that happening. I don't know. But, of course, the Superman thing is not, as far as I know, going to be related at all to the multiversal thing. So it might just be that renewed interest in this stuff with those new movies, and maybe even with HBO Max. Like, I don't think they have the 89 and Returns movies right now. They do have the Superman movies. It's possible that because they've been streaming that stuff for a while on DC Universe and now on HBO Max, that also has something to do with why they're now willing to do that. I don't know. But anyway, we've already talked about this longer than I thought I would, but folks do seem pretty stoked about it. So, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some other things, Jason. So would you start throwing some questions at me? Let's start pre-written, and feel free to go to questions for both you and me, or both of us. And folks, throughout the show, once again, feel free to ask questions to either or both of us, and then we'll go to the super chats, Jason.
Okay.
And actually, I've got the super chats more at the ready. It's a little bit easier for me to see those. So
I can see them too.
So I think when I decide to move away from what you're looking at, I'll just go ahead and read those, unless you can see them well enough that you can. Go right ahead.
Okay. We'll start with one for you.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Okay. Actually, I'll start with one for me.
Okay.
Daniel Davis. Hey, Jason, what's the worst film you've ever seen?
What is the worst film you've ever seen?
The first comes to mind. Well, 2019 Aladdin.
Yeah, I know you hate that
movie.
And Jason's a big fan of the original.
Yeah.
And he hated that in the theater.
I I never saw Lion King or Dumbo because I just did not.
I did a blank commentary on Lion King. That was quite the experience.
Oh wow.
That was the only way I would have watched it too.
Another one where like I like it because it's hilarious and kind of unintentionally funny is Wizard. The
Wizard? yeah, good call. The zombie slayer Ra's al Ghul is Ghul. Ghoul. Somebody left a comment the other day when I was talking about Batman vs. Ninja Turtles, and I had forgotten about this, mentioning that Denny O'Neil, I think it was Denny O'Neil, at one point confirmed that, well, of course, because he created that character, that he actually always intended it to be pronounced Roz, even though Raish became the kind of common and accepted version. So for years, people would complain that Batman Returns said Roz when the animated series said Raish, and even though that sounds a little bit more exotic, apparently it was originally supposed to be Roz. So this has been something of a pointless debate all these years, maybe. Let's do another pre-written, and now the super chats are starting to pour in, so we'll get to those in just a second, folks.
Okay.
What do you see, sir?
Mutale.
Hi, Mutale.
Asks a question to you.
Hi.
Cap.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying having Darcy and Jimmy Woo back for WandaVision?
I'm mixed on it. They continue to be comic relief characters that I don't find especially funny, but they're dialed back a little bit. Darcy maybe less so in her most recent appearance. There's a couple things she does that I found a little bit irritating. I think Woo is way dialed back. And they're not quite as goofy. I don't think, but Jason, I think there's an intentional juxtaposition there to kind of even out the creepiness, especially because the first two episodes you don't really know what's going on, and we don't peel the curtain back like we do when we get to the third and fourth episode, and so and actually even really the first three, because we're not even out of there until after that, and so like I kind of see why they feel the need to do that, but it's the stuff that feels most typical MCU to me, and there's a couple concepts they have there that are really irritating to me, that kind of annoy me, like the hex thing. I hate that it's called a hex because the whole town is surrounded by a hexagon, and because Wanda in the comics has the ability to do hexes, and they're like, well, we got to get that in there, but it's that typical MCU thing of it's a science fiction universe that's based on a thing that had magic, but they don't want to do straight up magic, so they have to come up with ways to sideswipe that, and I don't like that. But
I thought you didn't like magic and stuff.
So I'm not a big fantasy guy. I enjoy things more that have blends of it, and I'm most specifically not a big sword and sorcery fan, is the thing. You gotta keep in mind, Jason, that the first novel I ever wrote has magic in it. Like, the first thing I did is a science fiction fantasy blend. Partly because there's certain concepts I wanted to do that are just easier to do if you've got magic in a universe, and it was kind of fun to parody some tropes from both of those things. But yeah, so I'm not against magic on principle, but I don't gravitate toward occult things and magical things on principle. It's not like my immediate preference, but I'm not against it. It's not like I haven't enjoyed things that have stuff like that in it. And the original Marvel universe always had magic around, and so if you're gonna do Doctor Strange, I kind of don't want them to try to come up with some kind of workaround where it's spells, it's magic, but it also isn't that, And you had that problem with Thor with, what are the realms, really? Oh, I guess it's just sort of planets that you could get to with a spaceship if you wanted to, but we wanted to have our cake and eat it too, so the Asgardians think of it as realms, but ultimately they're really just in different places in the cosmos. Oh, okay.
Okay. You can do a couple of super chats.
Oh, thanks for your permission.
Because the thing when I scroll up to it goes
just
too
keeps
far,
bouncing down. Yeah.
and I'm not.
Yeah, we got to come up with a better system with that than just using that tablet, probably. And you don't have a way to pop that out?
Nope. And I don't know how to and I can't copy.
Okay, sure. Well, one thing I can do is I can pop this out and put this over here for you. And then we can zoom that. Oh, hold on. If I zoom in one, it zooms in both. Sorry, folks. Give me just a second. But, I could kind of zoom up and you can look at it a little bit. But anyway, okay. Sorry, folks. Matthew Base, $10 super chat. Hey, Cap, I recently made the mistake of watching 89 and The Shadow 1994 back-to-back and have come to the controversial opinion that The Shadow is the better movie. What are your thoughts? I hate to say it, but story-wise, as far as those movies being coherent and complete pieces, and the movie actually being about the protagonist and having compelling character arcs, yeah, you're absolutely right. I certainly prefer 89 just because of my personal sensibilities and my nostalgia and stuff. But yes, The Shadow is absolutely technically the better movie.
Same thing with the Birds of Prey show. You really like that show because you watched it when you were in high school. But it's not a great show.
It's got some great initial ideas, and the look with 89, of course, is great.
Yeah.
That's debatable with Birds of Prey, but...
yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the super chat. Curtis Gillespie, £10 super chat. WandaVision is the best show I've watched in a very long time. It's certainly up there for me. I have heard a lot of theories on how it will end. Just wondering if you have theories on where it's heading. Keep it up from Belfast, UK. So I don't want to do too much in the way of spoiler territory with that show. I talked a little bit about it a minute ago and was really careful not to go too far, so I didn't want to talk much past, the third or fourth episode, and I still feel like I'm even cryptic enough that if you've not seen it, you won't know, too much about what I'm talking about. We will review the whole thing when it's finished. I don't have a real solid theory ultimately for what's going on. There is an assumption that a lot of people are making that it must be related to how Wanda is creating creating the world that she's creating is probably connected to something, more occult and mystical than we've had before, that it might be kind of a Mephisto situation. I don't know. There have been clues hinting that it might be going that way, and I just don't trust that. I don't think the MCU will go to that place. And I still say if they do, I'm going to cry foul that it was going too far to do death with Thanos. But I don't know. My opinion could be changed on that if and when we go there. They could find a way to have their cake and eat it too again, where it is that, but somehow also there is enough of a sci-fi explanation for it. I don't really know what that looks like. So yeah, for me the big question is, who else is involved, of course, besides Wanda? There's something else going on. And I like that there's still so much mystery in that show, even with as much as has been revealed. Because I didn't expect to get as much as we did. And at first, I was a little bit bummed because I was like, well, I was having fun guessing. And I was like, oh, wait, no, there's still stuff to guess at. Absolutely there is. And so that's wonderful. But, yeah, I don't have a real concrete theory about where it's all headed. And I partly... haven't formulated one because I've been really enjoying the mystery. Jedi Knight says Magneto. I mean, there's reasons to believe, again, without getting into massive spoiler territory, that this might be the thing that opens the floodgates to the mutants and finally connects it up to X-Men. I'm on the fence about whether we're actually really doing that. Again, definite, clear clues and hints that might be where we're going, but I also just as easily could see it not doing that yet. We know that this is supposed to be connected to Doctor Strange and somehow, I think, Spider-Man 2, and I mean, it's already got a character connected to Captain Marvel, so I mean, it's got its fingers in all kinds of pies, but it's apparently supposed to directly link up to the stories that we're going to get for the Doctor Strange sequel and for the next Spider-Man movie, and those are both supposed to be apparently multiversal things. So there's every reason to think it's plausible that they might do that, and there's also every reason to not be sure about that at all. I believe. Mutale, it's weird we still don't know much about Agnes. Yeah, that's a big question mark. DGMC WandaVision is so confusing that trying to think up a theory of what's going on is pointless to me. Yeah, I see why that's fun for people, but I'm not having the thing I did with Lost, where like I'm constantly doing a bunch of guesswork and trying to make up ideas of where it might be going. It's harder to do that with, and I respect that for it, because I think it has a chance of really surprising me and of where it ultimately goes, and it has already surprised me a couple of times, especially the second to last episode. That ending was the biggest deal to me in a long time, because we got a really cool fan service moment in a way that absolutely shocked me, and I didn't think was too gimmicky, and was really creative, and I never get to feel like that, and that was just a big deal to me. Okay, Jason, way to moderate the chat, man. Connor Nielsen, $5 super chat. What if they got the likeness for 80s and 90s actors to play characters in the Batman 89, Superman 77 comics? I would love that. I really wanted that with the 66 book. It was kind of frustrating to me that we would introduce, because that show always had special guest villains, so it was a big deal who the really popular stars were that would come in and play those villains. And it was weird to me that you would get brand new, later created villains that couldn't have even existed in that show that show up in that book, and they're not played by anybody. And sometimes you would kind of guess at what actors they kind of maybe most look like, and you could kind of plug in a little bit. But it was really cool when the Two-Face movie, Batman vs. Two-Face, that second 66 movie, it came out, posthumously right after we lost Adam West, when we got Shatner in a guest villain role, because we never thought we'd see that again, and the comics didn't do it. So yeah, I'm with you. I would really love to do that. I don't want to do the fan casting thing, Connor, because I'm terrible about it, although I'm better at it with older things than I am more modern things. But that would be, and now I can't help but start like thinking about it and attempting to fan cast in my head. But if I think of any really cool ones, I will do that. But yeah, I'm with you. I would love that.
DGMC says, spoiler, Wanda is a smoke monster.
Oh, man. Boy, that would blow my mind in the wrong way. Because then that gets really convoluted and lame, right?
Yeah, lame.
Because if Wanda's a smoke monster, that just means that there's like a light in the middle of the town. Jason, by the way, has finished Lost now, which is why I'm talking Lost spoilers with him. But we have only posted the first 3 seasons of videos, so or did I put up 4? I don't think
4 and 5. No, it's 5 and 6
5 and
that
6
we put together.
That we did together, yeah.
Which is weird, because we should have done 4 and 5, because those are
a lot more interconnected.
A lot more interconnected than 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 is not.
I was going to say, well, no better for next time, but it's not like we're going to do that again. But yeah, Jason and I have actually quite a few, quick plug, father and son videos in the queue that we just have not gotten up yet. I keep wanting to post that weekly, but there's not always a good spot for it, and I don't want to post, too many times in a day. So I try to keep it to 1 video a day when I can. So anyway, why don't we go ahead and get to the pre-written questions, Jason? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, real quick before we do that, why don't you reveal to the audience maybe a couple things that we have already done videos on that they're going to get to see in the not-too-distant future?
Okay.
You want to tell them? Some of the discussions that we've done?
Okay. So, of course, we've finished Lost, and we have done Firefly and Serenity.
Together, as one video.
Together. Let's see. We've done... Have you posted season 3 of X-Men yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So we did do that.
We did do that. We just shot Birds of Prey, the O2 series.
So these will all be coming out over the next few weeks.
And we're about to shoot one on The Mask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that'll be exciting. We're gonna do that tomorrow, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Jason. Why don't you? But it'll come out.
And right now we're watching Smallville.
We have started watching Smallville together. Okay, Jason, would you go ahead and read some more pre-written questions, please, sir?
Okay.
Hold on. People are doing some amusing fan casting in the comments. Jedi Knight, Jerry Seinfeld as the Riddler. Yeah, that's amusing. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Cap,
Hi.
Blue Dragon 5 asked this question. Cap, how would you reboot Smallville? Smallville, if you were in charge.
Well, first of all, you can't call it Smartville.
Yeah,
That's for darn sure.
That is for sure.
How would I reboot it? Because I always have a hard time not just going to leave season 1 more or less the way it is, except maybe with less of a horror bent, less of an X-Files bent.
And then
maybe
take
get
out
all the
everything else.
Maybe get all the Vancouver accents out of it. Maybe not have people that are supposed to live in Kansas saying Surrey, you know. And then when you get to the end of it, you have Lana find out Clark's secret identity immediately with the tornado thing. Maybe have her be slightly smarter about the tornado thing. She lives in Kansas. She should know what to do with tornadoes. And then have Lex actually let his father die. I wrote a comic version of that once where I used images from the show, but I used my own dialogue, and that was a real fanboyish thing to say, to do, wasn't it? And I don't know, I had that posted on some webcomic site for a while. And I was going to go through season 2 and like and try to make it a little bit smarter and have a little bit more character dimension. But anyway, if I straight up rebooted it, man, put me on the spot. That's a great question. It would be a much more understated show that would be for less of an accessible audience, most assuredly. I would make that a much more of a like primetime drama without the genre bent, where you had the one supernatural or, you know, kind of genre component to it, where your main character has superpowers, but that is, at least at the beginning, the only thing that is weird that's really going on. I wouldn't do the Freak of the Week formula. I would have it be more of an ongoing story from the start, and I would have it be a lot more about the character drama, or about the, about the family drama and the interpersonal relationships. And I would have Clark be a great deal less conflicted, but you know, he would still be a teenager and wouldn't have found himself yet. He just wouldn't be so whiny. Maybe conflicted's not the right word. He could be that. He just wouldn't be as whiny and be more proactive, certainly. He wouldn't have to save somebody every episode. You'd be a lot more subtle about how you'd use powers. The things I would leave exactly the same, or mostly the same. Lex Luthor and his background, although maybe I would give him the red hair and not have him be bald from the beginning, just because that's not giving your audience a lot of credit, and you're basically saying, he's got to be bald, because that's what Lex Luthor looks like, and everybody will know he's Lex Luthor if he's bald, right?
Yeah, it's the thing in Apocalypse with Xavier.
Oh, it's exactly that,
yeah.
Where, like, we gotta come up with some kind of a cool prequel reason that he loses his hair.
But not very cool at all. Like,
I actually like it better in Smallville than I do in that movie. I said it. Yeah, I said it.
It's way weirder in Apocalypse, and I don't even remember anything about that. But
and you wouldn't have the will they won't they relationship drama with Clark and Lana. That's so weird to do with a prequel reimagining, because you know those characters aren't going to get together ultimately, so who cares? Like, anyway. But in, you know, I would go back to some of the, like, the, you know, John Byrne and people that had really good, you know, setups for Smallville in the first place, where you've got Alana who is Clark's confidant from the beginning. Maybe in the pilot she finds out. You know, really, especially just to subvert the whole thing. Maybe, Jason, in the pilot she finds out and it's not a secret. And she's the one person that Clark is willing to talk to about his powers. It might be cool if you had to have secrecy drama. It might be cool. This also could be melodramatic, but if you wrote it right, I think it could be cool. It might even be cool if she knew, but the Kents didn't know she knew, because they told Clark he's not allowed to tell anybody. But he can't stand to only have his parents to confide in, and he really cares about and loves this girl, and they share everything. And so at some point, maybe a few episodes in the first season, they find out that she knows, and that's a big deal, and there's some drama made from that. And also, I'm saying this in hindsight with, you know, a lot of the streaming history behind us now. We've been in that world for so long. But, you know, you make it a 12 or 13 episode a season show. That is not a thing that makes sense to have 22 episodes of. That's a thing that's easy to do with Superman when he's in the regular Superman status quo, to come up with something for him to go, somebody for him to go save, or something for him to fight and stop every episode. Does not make as much sense in a small town. You know what else I would do, Jason? I would have Metropolis on the other side of the country. It would not be right next to Smallville. And stuff like that. I might still do some of the Kryptonian stuff eventually, though, not as early as that show did it. Man, I could do this all day. Honestly, I've always wanted to rewrite that show.
Make Lana, like...
Likable? That'd be great.
Yeah, likable and there for the whole time. Like,
well, sure, but also, it wouldn't be a 10-year show either.
Well, yeah, it would only be like 3 seasons.
You could kill her off someplace, and that could be wonderfully dramatic and really tragic and sad.
Yeah, instead of her being invisible.
Instead of her having... No, she's not invisible. When she's written out, if memory serves, she has an invisible suit of kryptonite, which is the reason she can't be around Clark anymore. See, it's poetic because it was the kryptonite that repelled Clark from her in the first place, with the necklace that was made of the meteor rock that killed her parents, because that's not creepy and weird at all. We should probably go ahead and move on. Let's see what else we've got in the Super Chats. Super Billy, that's a name I don't recognize. Welcome, hi there. $5 Super Chat. I would love to see a Tim Burtonized version of Batman Forever and a redux of Superman 3 featuring Brainiac instead of giant generic supercomputer. Great ideas. I am kind of more interested in these things just going totally their own way, although because the Superman book is only going to be in between 1 and 2, it could be cool to see like a reimagining of 3, and I think that's more interesting than seeing Batman Forever done in the Burton style. I was going to say because that movie is actually really about Batman, and the first 2 '89 movies really aren't, but I'm expecting Sam Hamm to actually give us more character dimension for Batman. And I'm curious to see how well he transitions into that, and if he can stick the landing with that, and whether I will actually buy that the character in the comic is the same character that was in the movie. Somebody asked me earlier if I saw the concept art for the character models from that book, and I did. They weren't in the article, so I don't have them pulled up right now, but there's an image. I'll see if I can find that real fast. There's an image that I thought was really neat of Bruce Wayne out of the Batman costume, where he's in like an all-black kind of smock, and it looked like they based that on, it looked very similar to the action figure that was Bruce Wayne wearing all black, but you could put the Batsuit on him. It looked a lot like that. I was like, that's crazy. We went back to that action figure? Okay. Jason, why don't you find me another pre-written question while I'm looking that up?
Mutale. Cap.
Hi.
Which WandaVision commercial product would you buy?
Oh man, I can we remember some of them?
The watch.
I wouldn't buy that Go-Gurt stuff that they did in that last episode. Just because of what it did to that kid, that looked horrifying. Oh yeah, the watch would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Yeah, I'm not seeing that art right away, but yeah, like I said, I did see that. Psycho Reviewer, Cap's presidential campaign slogan, a vote for me is a vote for a better Smallville show. Yeah, a vote for me is a vote for me writing a fanfic, like a fan novel for Smallville. That is a thing I might at some point just break down and do for, you know, anybody that would actually care to see that, if I could find the time. I have written half of a fan novel for, as a prequel reimagining for Power Rangers, a Zordon book, that I have really enjoyed working on, and I had to get away from to work on some other things, and I've not gotten back to that. But Jason, you were reading that, and I think you were enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I'm so... I was having so much fun doing that, and I felt really weird writing fan fiction. I'm just like, you know, I'm a writer. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something that I can actually sell commercially, and that I have the rights to use, and that is my own thing, and I feel like a little kid doing that, but it's a lot of fun to do, and I just, you know, sometimes you got a story in you that you really got to tell, and even if it's copyright infringement, it's like, well, I don't care if I can sell it, I gotta tell it. It's just an idea I gotta work out, and I've always kind of had that with Smallville.
Blue Dragon 5.
Oh yes, Hydra soap. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Christopher Swauger, it's a direct homage to the Kenner action figure. That, I mean, it had to have been, right? Except I don't think it has like a very clear bat symbol on it. I always thought it was really funny, Jason, when that Bruce Wayne figure is out of costume, you still should be able to tell he's Batman because he's got a bat symbol on him. And Lagos paper towels. That's right. Lewis Cox will that get Cap? No, will you get to that when you finish that Power Rangers thing? I mean, yeah, I could. Okay, let's keep going, shall we? Fan fiction rewind? That sounds hilarious and mean and unfair. Okay, what's up? Potentially. I find really good fan fiction. Because, of course, I've done it with a couple fan films, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking about that Casey Jones film. And the director of that came out and thanked me for the review, and he was fun to talk to. Anyway, what's up?
Okay, Blue Dragon 5. What trope do you hate seeing in biopics?
What trope do I hate seeing in biopics? The biggest one is, and I've talked about this before, so sorry if this is a cop-out response because you've heard it before, but this really is the answer. I don't like it when a biopic is played as either based on a true story or doesn't even have that disclaimer at the beginning. And it might as well be a fictitious tale. Like, it doesn't matter if it's based on a true story or not. You're basically watching a fiction anyway. And then you get to the end, and there's just text on the screen that tells you where everybody wound up years later, as if what you were watching was what was really happening all along. And you could say, well, it could be that the text at the end is telling you what the fictional versions were doing, but it always, without fail, is 100% true. Like, everything that's at the end of it is... Now it's biography. Now it's like you're watching a documentary. I don't always know any way around it, but I much prefer a biopic that is not about the entire life of a person, but is just about the like a time in their life, because that's what a story is, right? I mean, you can have a story that is where, the full arc that a person takes is a lot of their life, where that still works, where your inciting incident is earlier in their life and the opportunity for change is much, much later, sure. But generally speaking, much more interesting and compelling to me is when you have a shorter story that takes up less time, where you have a clear break in status quo, clear impetus for the story that you're telling, and then at the end of the story, the person continues to live the rest of their life. And you don't necessarily need to know all the stuff that they did after that. Or if you did, just make it really clear that what you were intending to make wasn't like 100% what happened. Like, I did a review for a really great war movie a few weeks ago that was a biopic thing, and what was the name of that? Hacksaw Ridge. And one of the only things I complain about with that movie, I think it's a near masterpiece, if not a masterpiece. One of the only things I complain about with that, Jason, was at the very beginning, it has text on the screen that comes up that says something along the lines of, "This is a true story." You're like, but you're dramatizing based on a true story. Like, you have to fill in, you have to embellish, you have to make up some things that couldn't have happened because you can't have known everything. And they try to sort of kind of prove it at the end, or that's not fair, but they try to kind of give themselves some credibility at the end with a couple of interviews with the guy who the main character was based on, and a couple of other people, and they're telling stories that sound exactly like what you saw. But Brian and I couldn't help but, every time we saw something that they couldn't possibly know, we would be like, this is how it really happened. Like, this is exactly what must have happened in this, in real life, in World War II. Because it's like, well, you weren't there, you know what the dialogue was. You don't know exactly how they spoke to each other. You have to embellish in some way. So I always think that's hilarious. All right.
Yeah, well, we should probably get to more super chat.
We knew it was going to come up, Jason. Jan Hendrik Vander Merwe, I apologize for butchering your name, which I'm sure I just did. $3 super chat. Thoughts on the Justice League trailer? We knew this was going to come up, the Snyder Cut. Jason just watched it right before the show, and I recorded his reaction, and I will put that on Patreon. Jason, if you're cool with that, if you're cool with me posting that on Patreon, he laughed a lot. That's all you got to know. Jason's reaction was laughing to quite a few things that happened.
The first thing that happens after the logo is, and Superman is like... And I just crack up. It's hilarious.
I'm stoked because it looks hysterical.
And there's Joker.
Yeah, and there's Joker. Because somehow, folks, we live in a society where the Snyder Cut is actually coming out. It's amazing. So everybody's freaking out about the "we live in a society" thing. Do you know about this?
Nope.
Okay, so there was a meme from a few years back that was the "we live in a society" meme. And I had to look this up because I didn't know about it. I had heard this. So here's the problem with me and memes, okay? I don't keep up with this stuff real well. And what'll happen is...
And I kind of do because I watch, like, reaction channels.
Yeah.
Like Infinite and, like, Reaction Time and, like, Sniper Wolf and stuff.
Because that's your generation. Sniper Wolf?
Yeah.
That sounds wholesome.
It's a character from, like, Fortnite or something, I think. Or I have no idea. But,
I clearly need to be paying attention more to what you're watching.
Yeah.
Is that a wholesome channel? Sniper Wolf?
No.
Well, Jason!
What?
I said, is it a wholesome channel?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, is it? Does it have, like, a lot of profanity and, like, horrifying things in it?
No.
Oh. But it says Sniper Wolf.
Yeah, it's a character from a video game.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't keep up real hard with the meme thing, and what'll happen is I'll hear these things go around, but I don't know what they mean. So it's like, okay, everybody's repeating this thing. It must have come from some movie or video game or something that I don't know anything about, and I probably don't care about. "We live in a society" is apparently a misattributed quote to Joker. I don't know if people thought that Heath Ledger said it or what exactly the deal was, but it apparently is like this edgelord thing where people picked that up and ran with it, and it was supposed to mean, like, it was supposed to be a cool thing for people who like were nonconformist to say, where it's supposed to be, you know, "we live in a society" means everybody is kind of, like, forced to live by a bunch of, like, bogus social constructs, and we're, like, inherently better than that. We live above the society, but we live in a society. Every time so it's like an anti-establishment thing. That sounds like it came out of, like, the Nirvana era, but people are just now picking up on it or something. And apparently there was this huge petition with, like, 56,000 signatures or something to get that line into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. And they wrote in the petition exactly the scene that they wanted the filmmakers to put in the movie. And one of the things they said was, and then after he says "we live in a society," we want Joaquin Phoenix to turn and look at the camera, or as he's saying it, we want it to be fourth wall breaking. You know, so we can make a big deal out of the fact that it's a meme, and that we gave it to the to the world, right? And then Snyder, because it seems like the thing he mainly cares about is appeasing his fan base and impressing people with his just paying attention to the internet, I guess, and, you know, listening to people. Like it's like the whole thing he's making is fan service the movie, and it's not just fan service for people who really liked his movies or even people who like DC things. It's like this is a movie for the internet, and so he jumped on the we live in a society thing, and he has Joker say it in the couple of minutes that he shot for the Nightmare scene, and for the Nightmare Batman thing. And Jason, I don't know if I'm right about this, but didn't he sort of also look at the lens when he said that, or wasn't it real close, like right past it?
Yeah.
So, like, he gave them what they wanted. It's funny, though, because he doesn't just say we live in a society, because that sounds like a sentence that has an ending. Like, it's supposed to keep going. Like, it does continue. There is a, like, point he's making with that. There is sort of an idea there, because he says something along the lines of, we live in a society where honor is no longer, where people don't have honor anymore, or something, right? And so, like, at least it's not just the meme. But it's funny because every time I heard that, I was always like, okay, so people are taking this out of context and it continues in some form, right? No, the whole quote was always, we live in a society. And apparently the people that really ran with this treated it like it was really deep or something. And I'm like, yep, we sure do. Like, I don't know what is deep about that? It sounds like a trailed off sentence that has to keep going. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. But now I know something about this, so at least I'm caught up a little bit. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't have put that past him at all to do that. And a lot of people are like, especially people that are really happy that he did it, a lot of people think that he just got Joker in that movie so that finally that line could happen. And it looks like there could be some truth to that. I don't know. As far as the rest, I knew folks would want me to talk about that, so I brought that up. As far as the rest of that trailer goes, it's about what I expected. It looks more like BVS, like more BVS, so at least he's consistent, and there's some really silly, goofy stuff, and it still looks like it has no tongue-in-cheek awareness whatsoever, with the possible exception, I guess, of that Joker line. It would be cool. It won't happen because of the way Snyder talks about this stuff. It would be cool if we got into that and all of a sudden this thing would realize just how off the rails it was, and that it's a big schlock fest, and that the distinction is you have the characters in the piece take everything seriously, but you can tell that the movie itself knows that it's crazy train weird, that it's just this really silly, farcical, nutso piece that never should have been the mainstream DC universe. It's not the way Snyder talks about it. That's certainly not the way that he talked about BVS in his lockdown commentary, and I wouldn't expect that to suddenly change. But it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be 4 hours, and I'm gonna sit down and watch it as soon as it comes out, and we'll do a review shortly thereafter. Quick plug for BVS month, which we're in right now on Geekvolution. I did the first part of the Rewind last week. The Rewind is in 3 parts, so part 2 is going to air this Friday night, and I will once again be in the comments during the premiere. So that airs like a live show, so it's not actually live, but I'll be there in the comments while it's broadcasting. It's significantly longer than the last part. The first part is like 44 minutes. This one is going to be a little bit more than, somewhere around an hour 20. And then part 3 might be even longer. I'm not sure yet. I'm not done with it. But I'm writing feverishly on that almost as we speak. I'll be right back on that after we're finished here tonight.
And I might be there too.
And you might be there too?
I might be in the chat too.
Oh, cool. Sweet. And are you going to watch the Snyder Cut with me when that comes out?
Sure.
Whatever.
I'm not excited, but we'll
then
do it.
The week before, this is the plan right now, this could change, but the week before the Snyder Cut comes out, I will have the Rewind for the theatrical version up, which I wanted to do, and I did a poll, and a lot of the channel wanted this too, before we all see the Snyder Cut, so that I could just kind of take it up on its own terms, and not talk about comparisons and things, but probably just quickly at the beginning, mention the, weirdness of that production, of course, and then go, okay, but this is the piece we have, so let's talk about it as a piece and see if anything about it works at all. I will have some kind of rewind in between the last part of BVS and that, or that will come out right before BVS, and then we'll have another review right before Justice League, or that will be a week off. I'm just not sure what's going to happen yet. But my plan right now is to have some extra also DC thing in the middle there. I don't want to give away what I'm thinking about. I just don't know if I'm going to have time to do it. But it's going to all be DC stuff up through Justice League. And then after that, probably going to take a break from DC stuff for a while and jump to some other things. Because from Batman vs. Ninja Turtles up through Justice League, it's going to be nothing but DC for like 6 weeks. So that is what is happening on the channel. Okay, why don't you give me a pre-written, and then we'll get back to Super Chats. And thanks a lot for being here, folks. If you just came in the last few minutes, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. We have been having a wonderful time for the last hour or so, and we will continue on until we run out of Super Chats, and we'll go for like another 5 or 10 minutes after that, if there's nothing else there, or that if they start pouring in, we'll continue going. Up to 2 hours is what I usually do. Do you think you can handle sticking around that long? Do you want to take a break here in a minute?
Yeah.
Because I can just...
Well, I actually have to, get a snack and stuff.
Oh, okay, sure.
And, go to the bathroom and stuff.
Well, I can give you a break right after, I don't know, maybe we can do one more question?
Yeah, we can do one more
And then I'll just answer some things, and then you can come back and help me out when you get back. I'll just do Super Chats after that.
Okay. Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
Would you rather try to survive a World War I no man's land or a nuclear attack?
Wow. That's a great question. I guess I'm gonna go with the No Man's Land, just because you don't have to deal with... You want to go ahead and get up for a little bit? Okay, we'll see in a bit. You don't have to deal with nuclear fallout and everything. I am a little bit claustrophobic, so I wouldn't love having to be in a bunker and stuff. I mean, a No Man's Land also sounds horrifying, because, you know, who knows if you're going to be able to get supplies, and if you might have to deal with, you know, depending on where you are, you know, gang wars and things like that. So, I mean, obviously, neither of these situations is ideal, but I think it might be somewhat easier to survive, or at least be slightly more pleasant, depending on the situation, if you were in the No Man's Land situation as opposed to a nuclear fallout. Let me do some more of these super chats. John Ty, $2 super chat. What game show could you or your family win in? That's hilarious. I mean, I think we'd be okay at Family Feud, right? That's kind of the obvious answer. I think my wife and I could probably do pretty well with a thing like that. Beyond that, my wife is really good at Wheel of Fortune. I am not. I am not great with Jeopardy either, and my wife could do that before I could, but I don't think she'd play great. Beyond that, let me think. And then, like, I don't know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a thing that I think I might be okay at. Sarah actually would be better at that than me, because she's really good at tests and, like, process of elimination. So there's some ideas. 5590 ERS, $4.99 super chat. Best era of DC Comics in your opinion, Cap? Pre-Crisis, post-Crisis, New 52, or Rebirth? Okay, so it's interesting the way you broke that down, because some of those eras are much longer than others. So I'll answer that with one of the four options you gave me, and then I'll narrow it down. Because Pre-Crisis is everything DC going all the way back before the 80s, the like mid 80s, and then post-Crisis up to New 52 is a lot longer period than 52, and then Rebirth, I assume you mean like when that started, 2014, 2015, up to, or was it even 2016, up to now. So yeah, certainly not 52 or Rebirth. I'm definitely going to say the post-Crisis era, particularly the mid-80s, I think is the sweet spot for DC, that Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen era, but not just because of those two books. You had, and actually even going back to the late 70s, I should say, because you had the... Well, see, now I'm questioning what year exactly Crisis on Infinite Earths came out, because it's been a while, and I'm second-guessing myself, so I'm going to pull up a year just because it's been a while. I've reviewed this, I've talked about this a lot, it's just there's a lot in my head. I've done a bunch of stuff. Yeah, no, I'm right. I mean, that is the sweet spot, right? That's so I guess... what I want to say is, like, the mid-80s, and the reason I was hesitating for a second is I was like, I think... Oh, thanks. I'm not going to be able to leave this right now, but thanks. I was like, I think some of the stuff that I would want to put in there is actually technically pre-Crisis. Like, this was just a really good period. So, like, you had the Englehart Batman, and you had, like, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, and stuff like that. So I would say that the sweet spot for DC is actually throttling right between those eras. But, you know, and I love 90s DC a lot, too. I think overall, the 80s is probably actually the best period for that company. A lot of my favorite stuff, though, does happen, of course, in the mid-90s. But, yeah, great question. Thanks a lot. Yeah, for just a second, I was like, I'm not wrong about this, am I? Crisis isn't, like, 79 or 80, is it? Like, it is right in the mid-80s, isn't it? Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. So, Patreon Krypton reboot, Cap? Once again, a Mr. Roboto super chat that I just don't fully understand. Sorry, man. I know we were talking about the Smallville reboot idea, but I'm not sure what he's getting at there. Thanks for the super chat. Let me take a drink a sec. I know I've got Jason, but because DJ is not here, I'm doing a lot more talking than normal. DGMC, a $5 super chat. Very cool to see a father-son combo. Yeah, and he's spectacular, by the way. Let's get you back in here a little bit. I'm just talking about how great you are doing your job here, man.
Oh, yeah. I did not even hear what you said. So.
By the way, I should also mention that Jason has been doing some of the editing lately for the 10-minute cuts of Superhero Rewind. Doing a really good job with those. He's done 2. Jason, we usually try not to eat on camera, man.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna like have a snack and then pop in here. But that's okay. It's fine this time. Anyway, but you did the one for Batman vs. Ninja Turtles, and then you just did the one for Man of Steel, and you don't even know that movie that well. I wasn't sure how well you'd handle that, but you did a spectacular job on that. I only had to change a couple things. So, yeah. Your thoughts on Marlon Wayans as Robin in Burton's Batverse? I think he'd fit as a young, hip 90s sidekick. I was always curious about that notion, yeah. That was... If memory serves, wasn't that a thing that almost happened? They were kicking that around for a while. I think that could have been really cool, although it might have made it a little bit too 90s. Like, one of the things that I really liked about the 89 movie was how kind of out of time it was, despite the Prince soundtrack. Like, in some ways it is really super 80s, and in other ways it's so heightened that it kind of has a little bit of an 80s aesthetic, but that's part of the thing. But that blended with all of, like, the 40s gangster stuff and everything, kind of makes it feel, is one of the things that helps it to feel out of time. You know, like, you probably wouldn't think to do that now, but if you put that in with also some more modern things, yeah, maybe you could do that. So, I don't know if, depending on how you characterized Robin, if you made him too early 90s urban with too much of that kind of lingo and stuff, could make it too much of a product of that era. But I was never against that notion. Thanos Survivor 21. Hi there, 499 Super Chat. If we got a Nolan Batman comic series set in the 8 years after Dark Knight, what villains or stories would you like to see adapted? So first of all, I would not be nearly as excited about that as I am the 89 book. As most of you guys know by now, I was not a big fan of the direction Rises went in, and while I think that you could have, if you really wanted to, with the same director or otherwise, done a Robin John Blake movie, and it could have been good, I was not real keen on that whole direction, so I can't get real excited about seeing more stuff in that status quo. I don't like the idea that Bruce Wayne didn't get to fight more of his rogues gallery and stuff. But if you kept going with that, I don't know. I've been getting a lot of what Batman villains would you use in this situation questions lately, so it's hard not to just go back to the well and keep doing that. Obviously, for Nolanverse, you want to go to something that is relatively grounded, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, completely realistic. Certainly, we weren't as concerned about that in the first movie as we seem to sort of be in Rises. I always thought that Ra's could have turned out to have a Lazarus pit, and that still doesn't seem entirely far-fetched to me. I still love the ambiguity of his dialogue in that first movie, where it seems like he could have been using one, that when he says we loaded ships with plague rats, he might have been there when that was done with the League of Shadows. But I'm trying to think of characters that that really sad that we didn't see. I mean, Riddler is, you know, the obvious thing, and a lot of people really thought he was going to be in Rises in the first place. I guess that's what I'm going to say. It might have been... You know, I think the Riddler actually would have been maybe the best choice for that Batman, because Blake did more detective work than Bruce Wayne did. Like, most of his plot in that movie is he's investigating in lieu of Jim Gordon, and Gordon kind of did a lot of Batman's investigating for him. And you know, Batman would rely real hard on his gadgetry and stuff, where it's like he's doing detective work kind of, but he's like taking fingerprints off ballistics and stuff, as opposed to, you know, really being the world's greatest detective. And so that could be a way to really hammer home that John Blake is the detective Batman while Bruce Wayne was the ninja Batman. So yeah, I guess that's going to be my answer. TGMC says Killer Croc and Deadshot are technically in the Nolan verse. Yeah, I never took any stock in the idea that that was in the same universe. It has that aesthetic. They tell us it's in that universe. Whatever. He's talking about that vignette film that they put out as a tie-in, as a very strange tie-in product, which what is that called? It's not coming to me. Which I have never reviewed on Rewind, and I thought for a long time about how I would handle that when I finally sat down and reviewed it, but I've just not gotten around. Is it Legends of the Dark? That's not what it's called. I forget. Somebody will tell me. But it's not immediately coming to me. Jedi Knight, wasn't the prison supposed to be like the Lazarus Pit in a spiritual sense? Sure, in kind of a thematic way, yeah, absolutely. But I argued with people a lot when that came out that were like, no, Nolan's universe is way too realistic to ever have a literal, actual Lazarus Pit. And then Arrow comes out and does it, and that universe doesn't seem all that much more heightened to me initially. Later on, of course, obviously it is. But, that show was kind of trying to be a Nolan Batman TV show, and it had, in some ways, more of the sensibilities of Begins than the other movies were allowed to that I really liked. I'm not saying Arrow was ever better than The Dark Knight or even as good. That's not what I'm saying. But, you had a... You had a machine that could, turn water into vapor, on contact. I don't know. It just didn't seem that crazy to me. Gotham Knight, that's what that movie was called. Thanks, yeah. Mr. Roboto, another $2 super chat. He's talking about things that we did earlier, so I am not following this great. So the Geekvolution story, what gets embellished? Oh, you mean if somebody made a biopic about... People keep going to this a lot lately too, Jason. What would a Captain Logan biopic look like? Which is such a self-indulgent kind of discussion that I immediately resist it and have a hard time wanting to even talk about that. But what would get embellished? Well, you'd have to embellish quite a few things for it to be interesting, because I think it would be kind of a boring movie.
Yeah.
What would you do if you made a movie about my life and you had to or about Geekvolution? Not just me, but about the channel. What would you make exaggerated in order to make it more interesting?
Vince leaving.
You make a big deal out of it. We're like, he and I getting a big blowout.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea. Because we didn't. But yeah, me and Vince have a giant fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea. Yes, the microwave emitter. That's what I was trying to think of. Stormdragon771, $5 super chat. A rewind recommendation, The Valley of Gwangi in 1969, an obscure little movie that deserves a little more love. How does Cowboys versus Dinosaurs sound? Is that what that movie is? It's Cowboys versus Dinosaurs? That sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm not taking rewind requests at the moment, and I'm trying to focus really hard on superheroes, so I've got a backlog of some science fiction and some Rewind United movies that I will have to do, and I'm hoping to get back to those pretty soon. But that's an interesting idea, and I will write that down and consider looking at it at some point.
Or you could do it for You Made Me Watch.
Yeah. Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. How about a Harry Potter movie series 1 to 15? I don't know what that means either, man. I'm sorry. Do you mean
there's only 8?
Yeah. Do you mean
or 7.
the best way to reboot that would be to cut each book up into 2 movies? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I don't know. Dark Moonlight Entertainment. I think normies won't understand the Snyder Cut. I don't understand BVS, so that's fine. Normies didn't understand a lot of things in BVS, and again, neither did I, but and I'm talking about this in the rewind. This is, I have a whole thing about this in the second part, but the Nightmare Batman sequence is insane because I don't fully understand while I'm watching it even how Bruce is seeing everything he's seeing or in it, involved in it. But beyond that, I'm making assumptions just based on what we're given that Snyder has already confirmed are not true, and I'm like, okay, but you didn't put it in your movie, and maybe it will become clear with the Snyder Cut, or if he had gotten to make all 5 of his movies, would have become clear as it went along with whatever ultimately that was going to be, were it unfettered, and he was allowed to do whatever he was going to do. But in the moment, it's really hard not to make particular assumptions to think that he's telling us certain things, particularly about how scary Superman could be. And I at least already know what Darkseid's symbol is, and the parademons and all of that. That doesn't help me understand that sequence anymore, than I do. Like, apparently Superman is under mind control because of the anti-life equation. I don't know how I'm supposed to know that, but even if I did know that, even if that was in the movie, and it was, not fully explained what the anti-life equation is, but that was name dropped, and it was like, okay, Superman doesn't go insane because Lois dies, he just is susceptible to the anti-life equation because of that, which I still think is ridiculous, or at least just a very strange plot point, a really weird way to go. If you didn't break all of that down, yeah, normies, as you said, general audiences still wouldn't know what any of that meant. What is the anti-life equation? What is the Darkseid symbol? What are the parademons? And more importantly, why did the movie all of a sudden interrupt itself to show me part of another movie and then make it not clear as to how Bruce is even seeing it? Importantly, Snyder doesn't even know. And then, because he said that, he doesn't fully know what's happening in that sequence either, and he made the movie. And then it's also not real clear, how much of that is even informing Batman's decisions as it moves along. So it really feels like it's just there to set up crazy stuff that happens later. Mutale, apparently there will be time travel. There would have to be. And of course we're doing that.
Mutale, will normies understand Eric?
I mean, no, nobody understands Eric. I'm just kidding. Super Billy, $2 super chat. Excited for Justice League, Superman and Batman World War II animated film. Yeah, and welcome to the program, by the way. I have heard about that. I think I've heard about that. Is that one of the animated movies that is supposed to come out? I'm not sure if that's what we're talking about. That sounds cool. David 22, anti-life equation is math. Yes, it is. That is true. DGMC, yep, that would have worked better as a single straight-up dream in Bruce's head instead of some weird premonition. Yes, but it still would have to be a premonition because it's showing things that Snyder is building toward that are really actually going to happen in the movies. It's not just a possible future that they have to prevent. It is that, but it's a thing that I think apparently we were supposed to really get to, or are we just going to see more of the nightmare future? I don't know, but there is enough in that makes it clear eventually to Bruce that it's stuff from in the real world, that it's not just a dream that he's having. So, it still would be a premonition any way you slice it. I think it actually would have been better if it was just Flash coming in and telling him, warning him about something, and forget showing us any of the nightmare stuff. Why do we need... Darkseid and all of that has no bearing whatsoever on the story that we're actually watching. Anyway, you're going to hear me say all of this again on Friday. Diva 22, Cap, I think Roboto means a review of all the movies in the franchise. Oh, I see. Well, I've done a Harry Potter discussion series with Jeff, and that's really all I care to do on that, I think. I don't plan to ever do any written analysis on the Harry Potter series. I don't want to say a blind spot for me. I mean, I've seen those and I've read some of the books, but it's not a thing I think I have a lot of new insights on or anything like that, and I have no interest in talking about Fantastic Beasts. I saw that first movie and I hated it, and that's... I was not even going to bother with that second movie. Blue Dragon 5's Justice Society of World War II, Cap, but that movie should be without Batman Superman. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what you were talking about, and I knew there was something with World War II happening, but I forgot that it was a Justice Society thing. And yeah, was there a trailer for that I missed? I think somebody mentioned that. I just haven't seen it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we'll see what it looks like and if they win us over on those characters being there. But yeah, I would agree with you initially on principle, certainly. Okay, guys, I've got one more super chat. We are at close to an hour and a half, so I'm going to say 5 more minutes or so. We'll answer 1 or 2 more pre-written questions and then call it a day unless some more super chats happen to pop in. Don't feel the need to do that, but if you want to keep the show going a little bit longer, that would be a way to do that. If we run out of questions, we will call it a night. But thanks a lot for being here, everybody. We have had a great time with you. Jason, have you had a great time?
Yes.
David22, $2 super chat. If Killer Croc is in the MCU, is he a mutant character? I mean, sure. Yeah, but I think a lot of Batman villains, if you wanted to blend them into, like, the Marvel universe, you could make them mutants pretty easily.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, sure.
For some pre-written?
Yes, let's do that.
Mutale.
Yes, have some.
Cap!
What? A Mutale again? Hi, Mutale. How you doing, man? What's up?
Do you agree with Doctor Strange's view that we are
live in a society? Yes, we sure do. Sorry, what were you saying?
Spec within
say the whole thing again.
Okay. Do you agree with Doctor Strange's view that we are a momentary speck within an indifferent universe?
Well, that seems to be kind of just true. I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, I mean, that's just another way of saying human beings in the grand scheme have not been around very long. We are a blip on the radar as far as the rest of the universe is concerned, and we have enough scientific data on how much grander the universe is beyond just our sphere of vision and the Earth that, yeah, that's just another way of saying that, absolutely. Let me just roll up here real quick and see if I'm seeing any other cool pre-written that Jason did not pull down. Thanos Survivor 21, $1.99 super chat. I meant a series set before Rises, not after. Oh, I'm sorry, and if I read that wrong, I apologize. Thanks for putting another super chat. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, so that is a horse of a different color. Although, Batman Rises never makes it fully clear, but the way they talk about it, it sure seems like he wasn't Batman for any amount of time after the night that Harvey Dent dies. Like, it always watched to me like that movie ends with, and I mean, I've seen this a lot, and I was always looking for evidence that I was wrong about this because it's silly, but it always seemed to be the case that Jim Gordon says, you know, he'll run because he can take it. And then it turns out that that just meant for a single evening, because he seems to, you know, hang up his cape very soon after that, or even that night. So I don't know what you do in the middle of the 8 years. I mean, it wouldn't be Batman. Like, he wouldn't be doing anything. So it's hard to even get excited about a thing like that. But yeah, I mean, then you can open it up to, like if you changed, you know, if you retconned that, or you had a story without Batman that was, you know, featuring somebody else, I guess, you could use, you know, any number of Batman's rogues gallery, and then I have to just go back to the well of characters that make sense in Nolan's universe. Like, it would be interesting to see characters that you would think were a little bit too over the top and see how they would actually be handled in a thing like that. Like, could you even do something like Man-Bat in Nolan's universe? I don't know. You know, it's hard to say where you would draw the line on that. Jedi Knight, are you going to do Joker blogs? Boy, I thought about that for years and years. I'd love to do a rewind on at least that first season. I think that second season was too ambitious, and the seams started to show in the production. It's a little bit too grand. I like a lot of the ideas there, but it got to a place where once we got out of the asylum, it got really evident that some of those actors were just too young to play some of the characters they were playing, which was part of the problem. And, like, you know, their Lex, I don't know, he just needed to be 10 years older. Like, I didn't buy him. But I love that first season a lot. And that would be a thing that would be interesting to talk about in retrospect, because that's not a thing that a lot of people talk about anymore. And that was
a thing.
Yeah, it's a fan film series that was really popular for a while. I used to know that guy's name. It's not coming to me right now. But the lead actor in that is a real actor. He's spectacular. He at one point pitched a Gotham hospital drama to Warner Brothers that I always wanted to see picked up because it sounded really cool. This is so weird. He got to see the script for Dark Knight Rises before it came out, so that he could use it to inform the next season of his show, if memory serves. And then it didn't really inform it in any way, or much. I never watched all of that second season, to be fair, so maybe it didn't in some way that I don't remember or don't know about. But I think he probably expected something about the Joker to be mentioned in that movie, and it didn't happen. And so it was like, oh, well, this is all kind of irrelevant to what I'm doing anyway. But he got to read that so they didn't contradict anything. So that was pretty cool.
So I have a question.
Yeah. Yes, we live in a society.
What comic do you want to do?
Oh, you're just flat out asking a question.
Yeah, what comic do you
Where's my
want
$5?
to do?
Okay, here's $5.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. Go
it's
ahead.
not in my
You brought me a
pocket.
cupcake. That's
Sorry.
cool. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, there's your $5 cupcake.
Oh, thanks. Here's your cupcake.
Here's a cupcake.
Okay, what's your question? Go ahead.
So, what's a comic? What comic are you gonna do? I want you to do a comic and do a dramatic reading on it.
Oh.
And I don't know which one
you want me to do another dramatic reading?
And I want to do it with you.
Oh, you want us to read? That would be a fun thing to do live, actually. Some kind of dramatic reading. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
And I don't know what comic you would want.
I did one a couple weeks ago on Silver Surfer Parable, and then I went ahead and pulled it down because it occurred to me that a full-blown graphic novel like that, I could maybe get in trouble over reading all of it and showing all the panels on camera, so I ended up pulling it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a few people got to see it, and that's cool, but after 24 hours, I went ahead and pulled it. But I would like to do that again with, some single issues, maybe a couple issues. I think it would be easier to get away with that. I don't know right off that because it's difficult to come up with things like this is the reason I haven't done more of those because I keep waiting to just run into the perfect thing, and the reason the Iron Fist book that I did with Eric and Dan was so perfect was because it's almost all internal monologue. There's like not any, there's hardly any word balloons.
Yeah.
And so you can read it like you would a short story.
We could do like a what if issue because those are like that mostly.
No, I mean there's lots of dialogue in what if books because it's usually just the same story but going a different direction.
Yeah.
So they're usually more in the style of whatever the story was. So yeah, I don't have a great answer to that, but I would love to do more of those, of course.
I want to do Maximum Carnage.
You want to do Maximum Carnage?
Yeah.
Some hilarious stuff in that. I would have to come up with quite the Carnage voice.
I mean, you did have one, because we have done a dramatic reading of that.
We were reading it together at one point.
Yeah.
We weren't recording it or anything.
We weren't recording it, but you had a pretty good Carnage voice. It was pretty funny.
Oh, thanks, man. I don't remember how exactly I handled it. I remembered I couldn't do it for very long, though. John Ty, $5 super chat. Thanks, man. Do you think the MCU writers are... He was asking this earlier, I noticed, and we never got to it. Or maybe this came up in the last show and we didn't get to it, but I keep seeing this comment somewhere. Do you think the MCU writers are better than Marvel Comics writers nowadays? If they are better, could Safe Space and Snowflake be great characters? I mean, I always say you can make anything work, you just have to make it work. I don't really want to comment on that and get into that whole thing. We talked about that a little bit when it first came out, whatever.
Who is Safe Space and Snowflake?
They were new characters that were created for... I think an X-Men comic, I can't remember. I don't know if that even stuck around and if anybody is reading that, but whatever. I have not been reading enough current Marvel to make a call on that, and to be fair, we haven't had any MCU movies for a year, and there's been a whole year of publication since the last MCU movie that came out. I don't think it would be fair to make a judgment call on that, and even if I were reading a lot right now, I would hesitate to say that. Based on the few things I have seen in the last couple of years or so, I would say that the best MCU stuff, like say, I don't know, Infinity War, or I mean recent things, like the best, in Infinity War, Black Panther, etc., are close to or at least on par with the best stuff coming out of Marvel Comics. I think, but I'm not going to say that they're way better than that, than the best of what's been going on at Marvel. Like I'm certainly, like those first 25 issues of Venom, certainly I would put up against anything Marvel's done in the last couple of years. So yeah, on par or too close to call, I would say. And also, I would say I'm not even qualified to answer that question. 5590 ERS 299 Super Chat. Best Superman animated movie in your opinion? I mean, at the moment, and I mean, I know it's really recent, and I haven't gotten a lot of distance from it, but I have seen it twice now. Yeah, it probably is Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Talk about that.
Well, it has Lobo in it, and Lobo's crazy, and he's, like, probably my favorite character, and...
Was he already your favorite character? Or was it just because of that movie?
I didn't even know Lobo was a Superman character.
Really? Oh,
Like,
yeah, because
no,
Jason
yeah.
goes... This is what Jason said while we were watching it. He goes, Lobo's in this? He goes... I didn't think Lobo was a Superman character. I said, who do you think he was? He goes, I thought Lobo was a Lobo character.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. I didn't even think Lobo was a DC character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought Lobo was in, like, Mortal Kombat or something.
You want to see the first episode of the second season of Krypton? Because in that, it's hilarious.
Oh, no.
That actor's really good. But it's nuts that he's in that and in that... in the context of that show, I don't know.
It's got Manhunter in it, and it's got Parasite in it.
Oh, is that who that was, Blue Dragon 5? He said that was the guy who played Chick Hogan in Bates Motel. Okay, yeah, he's a really good actor.
Chick
in that.
Hogan.
He's just a kind of a creepy character in that show.
Oh, is he crazy and says bad words all the time and drives in a weird motorcycle? And has guns?
No, he does none of those things in that show because actors, a lot of them are versatile and can be different characters. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
John Ty, for me, Superman vs. the Elite and All-Star Superman are better than Man of Tomorrow. I don't agree with that, but those are both good movies. All-Star is fine. It truncates the last half of that series too much.
Okay,
so I think it's inherently a little flawed. It's watchable, but it's not the greatest adaptation, and Superman vs. the Elite is good. It's just not to my sensibilities the way Man of Tomorrow is.
So, my,
Yeah, Blue Dragon 5, I told Jason about the Lobo in Superman animated series. Matthew Bass, that's great. Lobo should be in Mortal Kombat. I mean, Lobo is in the first Injustice, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he's in the second one. I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
But, yeah, that's why I thought he was a Mortal Kombat character.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was in Injustice.
Did you think he was one of the Mortal Kombat DLC characters, like before you were playing Mortal Kombat? Because now you know about Mortal Kombat characters. Well, not the more recent ones, because I don't let you play those games because they're too violent.
Yeah,
but I mean, Jason's really into the 90s Mortal Kombat stuff.
Yeah. And there's this really, like, I don't know, I cannot explain it at all. Like, so Sub-Zero, there are, like, 2 Sub-Zeros, and it's so weird because there's like
you mean literally?
Well, yeah, there's one in the first game, and then in the second game he's actually a different character, and then in the third game there's that same character. The character from 2 is the guy without a mask. And then the classic Sub-Zero is the guy from 1. But the classic Sub-Zero, he also turns into a guy called Noob Saibot.
Yeah,
this, like,
Noob Saibot, yep.
Black guy. Well, not really. He's, like, fully black, and yeah.
Weird. Jenny Knight says you let him watch Deadpool, though. Yeah, it's a little different. And, you know, that was like a one-time thing. It's not like I'm letting Jason watch Deadpool on like a daily basis or something, or, you know, regularly. But, you know, that's a movie that certainly gets really raunchy and goes to some very, very violent places, but with a lot of sections that are not doing that as much, whereas Mortal Kombat is all, you know, like constant vulgarity and brutality.
Oh no.
It's not like anybody gets a spine ripped out of their back in Deadpool. Like, I don't know. That was a choice that my wife and I made in a moment on an evening. If I let Jason play the new Mortal Kombat games, and I did it like that, like if that's the comparison, I would do it like in a single evening, and I'd let him play like 2 or 3 matches. It's not like he would get to constantly play that and get good at it or anything.
Oh no.
They're just a little bit too rough for his age. He'll need to be a teenager before he gets to that stuff.
Day Ghost is here.
Oh yeah, here he is.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's Austin. Austin said that he's outraged because you're here.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Somebody asked which was the better... Oh, it was Mutali again. But this is a good question. What is the better Richard Donner movie, Lethal Weapon or Superman 78? What's great about Donner is that he is a really versatile director that has, you know, not just a house style or just a specific personal style. He was really malleable and could make really any kind of movie. And so those movies are uncomparable things, and they're both brilliant. So, like, I don't mean to cop out, but I don't know which I would put over the other. I don't think one is a better movie. I mean, if I have to look at them on a script and story level, I think Lethal Weapon maybe holds together a little bit better just because it doesn't have the roll time backwards without consequences issue. So, like, gun to my head, I would have to pick Lethal Weapon, but they're very incomparable things that if you showed somebody both of them in a single evening and you took out the Donner credit, no one would ever guess that they were made by the same person, which is what I love about them. Which is what I love about him, I should say. Okay, let's do... He also wants to know if I'm looking forward to the Mortal Kombat movie. I'm hearing nothing but horrible things about, like, the production and background of that, and I don't think there's a trailer yet, but people have said that what we know about it, it looks really bad, but I don't know anything, so, yeah. I can't get excited about that because I don't know what it is. Matthew Bass, I have not seen Kung Fu Panda 2, just the first one because somebody requested it, and we enjoyed it a lot, but I just haven't gotten around to watching another one.
I kind of remember that movie. It was that, and it was like Sword on the Stone or something.
Ooh, I don't remember what that was called.
That was another one, and it was pretty good too.
Well, guys, I think that is going to do it for us this evening. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you had a good time. Like I said, I will be back on Thursday for another Captain Logan show, hopefully with DJ moderating again. Jason, thanks for filling in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
Did you have fun, sir?
Yes.
I certainly did as well. Jason, I got rid of our tab and we don't have lead-out music, so I don't know. What do you think we should play?
The same thing.
What should we play for lead-out? Let's do something different. What should we play for lead-out music? Can you pick something cool for lead-out music? Or should I just pick, like, the first thing that comes to my head?
Oh, my life, I was your first.
No, we gotta pick something that's not gonna be as likely to get us, like, massively copyright flagged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.